If you've been following Windows 11 lately, you've probably noticed something unusual happening behind the scenes at Microsoft. For the first time in a long time, it actually looks like the company finally understands why so many users have been frustrated with Windows 11 ever since launch. Performance problems, random slowdowns, bloated features nobody asked for, too many AI integrations, inconsistent updates, laggy menus, unreliable search, heavy RAM usage. All of these complaints have been piling up for years. And now Microsoft has officially started working on a major internal initiative designed specifically to fix those problems from the ground up. Internally, this project is known as Windows K2. And no, this is not Windows 12, and it's not some brand new operating system either. Windows K2 is basically Microsoft's internal recovery plan for Windows 11 itself. A complete effort focused on making the operating system faster, cleaner, more responsive, less bloated, and honestly more usable again for normal people. What's interesting is that Microsoft didn't just announce this quietly and disappear. Since the initiative was revealed earlier this year, they've already started pushing major changes into experimental Windows Insider builds. Some of these changes are small quality-of-life improvements. Others completely change how Windows behaves internally. And one hidden feature that recently appeared might actually become one of the biggest Windows performance upgrades we've seen in years. So today on Tech Reporter, we're going through everything Microsoft has changed so far under the Windows K2 initiative. The hidden performance upgrades they're testing right now, why Windows 11 suddenly feels faster on newer preview builds, and what all of this means for regular users over the next year. And if you enjoy deep dives into Windows updates, hidden features, and major tech changes most people never hear about, make sure you hit like, subscribe to Tech Reporter, and turn on notifications, because Microsoft is quietly changing a lot more than most users realize right now. One of the first major changes Microsoft made under this initiative was restructuring the Windows Insider program itself. And honestly, most people ignored this change, even though it tells us a lot about where Microsoft is going next. Instead of the older, complicated insider structure with several confusing channels, Microsoft has simplified things into a more focused setup. Now there's primarily an experimental branch and a beta branch. The beta channel stays relatively stable, but new features there arrive immediately instead of rolling out slowly over time like before. Meanwhile, the experimental branch is where Microsoft is testing major foundational changes to Windows itself. Inside the experimental section, Microsoft is also reorganizing platform builds more aggressively. Some builds are focused on near-future Windows releases, while others are basically early previews of deeper platform work expected much later down the road. And this matters because it shows Microsoft isn't just patching Windows anymore. They're rebuilding parts of it at a lower level. There's also a new feature flag system being introduced that allows users to manually enable certain slowly rolling out features directly from settings. That's actually a huge quality of life improvement because advanced users have relied on third-party tools for years just to unlock hidden Windows features Microsoft was already testing internally. Hidden experimental features still require external tools for now, but Microsoft clearly wants more flexibility built directly into Windows moving forward. Another area getting a huge amount of attention right now is Windows Update, and honestly, this was desperately needed. Windows updates have frustrated users for years with constant reboots, awkward timing, and unnecessary interruptions. Under the K2 initiative, Microsoft has started redesigning parts of the update process to reduce how disruptive updates feel. For example, there's now a more flexible pause system that lets users delay updates for much longer periods without fighting the operating system constantly. Microsoft is also grouping updates together more intelligently, so users don't get forced into multiple reboots every time a driver update, security update, and framework update all arrive separately. Instead, Windows tries to combine everything into a single installation cycle with fewer restarts overall. Another surprisingly useful change is the ability to shut down or restart your PC without immediately forcing pending updates first. That sounds basic, but Windows users have been complaining about this forever. Sometimes people simply want to power off their system quickly, without waiting for a random update installation to suddenly begin at the worst possible moment. Microsoft also changed the Windows installation setup process itself. During installation, Windows now gives users the option to skip immediate update downloads during setup and install them later instead. That might sound small, but it can dramatically speed up fresh installations, especially on slower internet connections or older systems. But one of the most noticeable parts of the Windows K2 initiative is Microsoft slowly backing away from aggressively pushing AI everywhere inside the operating system. And honestly, a lot of users are probably relieved about this. Earlier Windows 11 builds started stuffing copilot buttons and AI shortcuts into almost every possible location. Photos app integrations, snipping tool integrations, notepad integrations, It started feeling excessive very quickly. Now Microsoft has quietly started reducing some of that clutter. In recent preview builds, several Ask Copilot buttons have disappeared entirely from core apps. The Photos app is being simplified again. The snipping tool no longer constantly pushes AI prompts in certain workflows. Even Notepad has started moving away from obvious Copilot branding and instead labels certain features more neutrally as writing tools. What's important here is not necessarily that AI is disappearing entirely. It's that Microsoft finally seems to understand that users don't want AI injected into literally every single click they make inside Windows. The company appears to be trying to make those features feel more optional instead of constantly forced into the experience. File Explorer is another massive focus area right now. And honestly, this may be one of the most important changes under the entire K2 initiative, because File Explorer is something people interact with constantly, every single day. Microsoft says they're making foundational architectural improvements to improve responsiveness, reduce hangs, reduce freezing, and improve consistency across the interface. And surprisingly, people testing newer experimental builds are already noticing differences. Microsoft is also testing a new window preloading feature that keeps parts of File Explorer prepared in memory so launch times feel faster. Yes, it uses a bit more RAM in the background, but the trade-off is significantly faster responsiveness when opening folders and navigating the system. On modern systems with decent memory capacity, it honestly makes sense. Widgets are also getting redesigned because Microsoft finally realized most people hated how intrusive the widget system became. Instead of constantly pushing news feeds, advertisements, and recommended content, newer builds focus more directly on actual widgets first. Hover activation is disabled by default in some cases, notification badges are reduced, and the overall experience feels less aggressive. But now we get to the most interesting part of the Windows K2 initiative so far. Microsoft may finally be working on one of the biggest Windows 11 performance improvements we've seen since launch. A hidden feature discovered in the latest experimental insider build appears to dramatically improve responsiveness across the operating system, and it's all connected to Microsoft's larger Windows K2 initiative, the company's internal effort to make Windows 11 faster, cleaner, and less frustrating to use. In the newest experimental build, Build 26.300.8346, Windows researcher Phantom of Earth discovered a hidden feature called the low latency profile. Right now, it's still disabled by default, but once enabled, users are already reporting noticeably faster start menu launches, quicker app opening times, snappier File Explorer performance, and overall smoother responsiveness throughout Windows. Today we're going to take a closer look at what this hidden feature actually does, how it works internally, how you can enable it yourself using Vive Tool, and whether this could become one of the most important Windows 11 performance upgrades Microsoft has introduced in years. To enable the feature, you'll first need Vive Tool since this is still a hidden experimental option and not a public rollout yet. After downloading the latest Vive Tool release, extract the files into a folder you can easily access later. Once that's done, open Command Prompt as administrator and navigate to the Vive Tool directory using the cd command. From there, you can run the feature IDs connected to the low latency profile and the application launch optimization system. After restarting your PC, the changes should become active immediately. And honestly, even in early testing, the responsiveness improvements are surprisingly noticeable. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe to Tech Reporter, and turn on notifications so you don't miss future Windows deep dives, hidden features, and upcoming tech updates, because Microsoft is testing a lot of interesting changes behind the scenes right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.